How y'all doing? I'm Joshua Wiley, and this video right here is I had to clarify what I call a truth. Kanye dropped the truth bomb, and many people didn't get it, and I wasn't gonna say nothing. Just let it die. Like, okay, that's enough to talk about that. But more and more people still don't get it, still don't see it. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna just take a couple minutes and just share. See, honestly, last time Kanye spoke out back in November, all he said was F Google, F Facebook, F Jay-Z and Beyonce, and that man was taken in handcuffs to a mental ward, a psych ward, where they ran no telling what kind of tests they ran on his brain. How, if you look, months later, one of his friends said, one of his close friends said, yeah, Kanye is getting his memory back. What happened to his memory in the first place? So understand, Kanye remember, so understand, this is all up here with Kanye is like, okay, last time I spoke out, I got sent to a psych ward in handcuffs. And what made me even look into it back then was the fact that a judge had said Kanye couldn't get out. I'm like, what? For saying F Facebook and F Google, you get taken to a psych ward, and everybody now, all the media, well, he's crazy. You know Kanye, when he had that mental breakdown, all because he said F Google and told what was going on with the radio stations. So, beloved, him knowing that if he says the wrong things, taken the wrong way, he could get carted off in handcuffs to some psych ward somewhere, and they probably done gave him a fiercer warning than that. Like, next time we really gonna get you this and this and this and that. When he said 400 years of slavery was a choice, I already made a video on it. And things of that nature. So many of you already know how I feel about it. And if you haven't seen it, go through my uploads on my channel and check it out. But beloved, another guy shared this with me, and it blew me away. Slavery started in 1618, 1619. Between that year, I mean, this is a fact. 1618 slavery started. And it supposedly had ended in 1864, 1865 with the Civil War. Beloved, that's only 200 something years. If you take 400, if you take 1618, he said slavery for 400 years is a choice. The truth bomb that Kanye was actually dropping was the fact that if you add 400 years onto 1618, that leads up to 2018. He was saying up till now, today, he was really speaking about how most of us are mentally enslaved today. That's why I thought it was fitting to sit back here in my office so you can see my books. I love my books. And that's one thing we don't do nowadays is read, y'all. Is read, And most of us are mental slaves, and we're becoming more and more captive to the devices and to the things. Trust me, we all, these things have become so ingrained in our lifestyle. It's almost like we need them, but don't be a slave to them. You want to know if you're a slave to something? See if you can go one day without doing it. See, that's the blessing of the Sabbath. The 7th-day Sabbath, Bible Sabbath, the 4th commandment. If you keep it the way that God said to keep it, and only keep it holy, do things that's holy, only pertaining to God, you intentionally break yourself away from anything that might have a hold on you. Like, I don't watch certain movies on that day. If it ain't talking about God, I don't watch it. So it's a natural chain breaker. Isn't that awesome that God put something in his law of love that keeps us as humans from becoming slaves? Even work. Remember, the 4th commandment says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. So he even keeps you from becoming a slave to the job or a slave to money, because most of us are. I know people who will work the same job for years, 7 days a week, and wonder why their body breaks down, their health. They a lot of times they're younger than me. Many times they're younger than me, but look way older than I do. Like, honestly, it's saddening, it's heartbreaking, and I owe it all to the Sabbath. Because one day out of the week I take a break, and it's almost like a holiday, a weekly holiday. But beloved, not to take away, the Sabbath. I gotta say that again. The Sabbath is a weekly holiday, but it's also a chain breaker and keeps you from being a slave to almost everything in life except God. But Kanye dropped that truth bomb, and a lot of people didn't catch it. If you add, again, slavery started, this is a fact, in 1618, 1619. So if you add 400 years onto that date, that's 2018. So he was really talking about today, but everybody got so upset. See, he had to disguise and reword his words. But beloved, nobody wants to hear that we're slaves. But we really are. Most of us are slaves. And what's sad is most of us are slaves to ourselves. We're slaves to our own selfish desires and pride. We're slaves to the gadgets. We're slaves to websites. We're slaves to TV shows. It's sad. It's sad. And we're slave to a certain mentality. We're slave to a certain mentality, the victim mentality. Crying and whining instead of getting up and doing. We're still slaves. And now, if you've seen the video that I made about the private prisons on the stock market, this is just slavery that took another shape and another form. But if we're not honest with ourselves to see it, you'll never see it. To that mentality of, oh, I gotta be a thug. I grew up in the streets, and trust me, it's certain habits. I've been locked up 23 times, not bragging about it. I was foolish. I threw away most of my life. I'm still suffering from consequences to this day. So believe me, beloved, I'm not bragging or boasting about it at all. And if, people always say, if I can go back in time, I wouldn't change nothing. Not me. Not me. There would be a lot I would change. A lot I would do different. Because I'm telling you, beloved, when it was about 2 years ago, and I'm driving back through the mountains from Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm sitting there, and it hit me like, Josh, you're free. And even though, like I say, I spent a large majority of my life being locked up in and out of cage, from how I grew up, just growing up in the streets, all kinds of nonsense, but it's just not from the fact of that I'm free. Because I'm telling y'all, if y'all don't think being incarcerated has something to do up here, it really does. Because I remember the one day I realized that, Josh, I got off work, I'm sitting at home, and I was hungry, and someone said, Josh, you can go to the store and buy some tater tots. Y'all might laugh, but tater tots is one of my favorite dishes, and I'm sitting there like, wow, I do have the freedom. I've become so ingrained to eating what was presented. It had to hit me. The Lord had to hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, you can go to the store and buy what you want now, Joshua. So when I'm driving through these mountains a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, matter of fact, I can honestly say is when the Lord broke away that slave mentality that I had my whole life of looking down on myself, thinking that I have shackles and chains when I don't. Of course, there might be opposition. I'm not saying that. Hear me out. But when you got God on your side, that opposition is really just stepping stones because it makes you work harder. Beloved, not here to brag or boast, but I run my own business humbly because it ain't like I got money. I really don't. My bills, every month I have to budget and things of that nature. I don't have extra money. Trust me, I don't have extra money. But I have time now. I have hours now that I can spend with my family doing what I love. And I'm talking about, it's a little business, a little from the house business that I run. I ain't gonna say I'm barely getting by, but God has made me content to where I'm just above water. I'm right here. And we're getting by, and I'm doing good. But I said the benefits of it, I don't have to be above water to say I'm successful. Be like, oh no, my bills are paid on time, but the thing is, I don't have to answer to no one. I make my own hours. I can do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. Take vacation. And it took me, this was 2 years ago when I'm telling you, it hit me like, wow, I can shine. I'm not a no good nobody like I was always told. Like I was told in the history books at school that I'm just a slave all the time. Or you're just a slave. Your answer is just slave. That's why I used to love the story of Shaka Zulu so much. Back in the day, I used to watch that so much because that was the first place I saw a true king. You know, but beloved, like I said, when I realized that, man, when I realized I've been lied to, we've been lied to, you know, me and my brothers that I grew up on the streets with, that all we gotta do is, your imagination is wonderful, and when you put the Holy Spirit with your imagination and you just obey, and I know it's hard, I still have a problem with obeying, y'all, but when you do that, the results are limitless. But we don't teach each other that, and that's what Kanye was trying to touch on in so many words. Remember, last time he spoke out clearly, he got taken to a psych ward in handcuffs. But I did not see that truth bomb until somebody else showed me a couple weeks ago. When you add 400 years onto when slavery started, it comes up to today. Beloved, teach your children, teach your sons, your daughters for yourself. Stop being limited by the box that they put you in, or the box that they say we have. George Soros is the one spot. This old, wrinkled up, I want to say he's a Jewish guy who sold, how he got his millions was, rumor has it that he sold out a lot of the other Jews to the Germans to be killed back during that time, World War II, and he took their wealth. He sponsors Black Lives Matter. This is a fact. They want us to stay divided. They want us to stay divided, beloved. They want us to have that slave. Of course, there's evils and prejudices and racism. Don't get me wrong. I dealt with it. But you know what? That don't hold me. Once I realized that, I'm now sitting here in front of y'all, running my own business, making my own hours, teaching my own children. Even my daughter who goes to public school, they know I don't answer to them. Me and her, I'll go get her. We'll go out of school and go to the movies. I don't live by that life. They tried to tell me one time when they first got introduced to Joshua, they said, your daughter only has this many days that she can miss. I said, nah, I don't live by that. Well, you'll have to, she'll get penalized. You'll have to take her out. Nah, see, none of all that's fake, false, and a lie, beloved. I never got penalized. They've never taken her out. She makes straight A's, and we take as many days. If I want to take a vacation tomorrow and go on a trip, and say if my daughter was in school, we'll go on a trip for a week, and that's it. And you know what? They don't even complain about it no more. They don't say nothing about it because they already know, Mr. Wiley, I'm not up under her. She's not up under their system. You're not going to tell me how to raise my child. See, that's the slave mentality. So, I got to go to Massa. Who's going to tell? Parents, wake up. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a video on it. Holy Spirit just told me I got to go in more depth on how the school system is the Massa. And it's sad when I see a lot of parents do whatever they tell you to do about your children. Wow. And you'll be surprised how many parents, the school said do this and the school said do that. Let me obey, or we're going to get in trouble. Really? No. Really? It's saddening. It's truly saddening when I see parents just blindly obey, do whatever the school system say. You can only spend 2 weeks out of a whole year with your kids outside of their days and their hours. Really? The state, you got that much power over me and my children? No. Not Joshua Wiley. All my kids tell you, shoot, when we want to go on a trip, we ride. And I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes when I first had to introduce them to me, I would tell my daughter, they'd be like, if they ask, why is your dad picking you up early? We're going to the movies. We're going to see such and such. Nah, we're just going out to eat. Daddy taking me out to eat. We're about to spend some time. Yeah, because I told them, my family's time isn't on their time. You can't tell me what to do with my children and how to raise them and how much time I can spend with them. Beloved, this game is deep. And if y'all just keep letting them let's just say it's all branches of the same tree. If you raise your children to be obedient to whatever the school system say, the school system is really the state. So look where the technology comes in at. So soon, no matter what the state says, your children will do, because they've been trained to do whatever the school system or the state says do. It's deep, beloved. It's deep. But anyway, not to get off on that, but I wanted to share the truth bomb that Kanye dropped, but it is still not being seen. Of course, there's an agenda, and people don't want to see it. Other celebrities with talk shows and radio shows who still talk bad about Kanye and say, oh, I can't believe what he still said 400 years of slavery is a choice. I'm like, really? We don't have a choice to be slaves today? Today? You don't have a choice? You're going to let the state tell you how much time you can spend with your children during a year? Think about it. If they can dictate... Oh, hold on. Think about it. If they can tell a parent, your child can only miss this many days, they're keeping it to where they can spend more time and have more influence over your child than you do. And a lot of parents wonder why they don't have a grip on their children and can't hear and their children don't listen to nothing they say. Why? Because the state becomes the parent, more of a parent to the child than you. Is deep, beloved. Y'all have a good one. Take care.